Welcome all to DCA. We had to start this thing again. I did about 15 minutes on mute. So let's kick this bad boy off again. Um, we're looking right now at the markets. So, as I got it pulled up here, let's actually kick over to, let's see, let's go by market cap. So as you can see now, the markets we're getting a little bit of a bounce. We definitely took a dive this morning. On the 1 hour, we're seeing a lot of green, and a lot of these projects coming back. Ethereum is starting to look pretty healthy. It's for as large of a market cap as it has. I mean, you can see earlier. Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate you coming back. As you can see, we hit almost hit 2,300 on Ethereum earlier this morning. Now, I mean, when the first time I started this stream, we were below 2,500. Now we're starting to get nicely into 2,500. So we're seeing a really good rebound. We're seeing some really good volume. We just saw the Martini guy. He just posted this not too long ago. BlackRock just sent 150 million from the Bitcoin ETF to Coinbase to be sold. That is, yet to be determined. There's a lot of things that BlackRock could be doing with this 150 million. And down here, you can see Token Trail actually bring some of them up. Call me skeptical, but I'm not buying the sold narrative just yet. BlackRock moving 150 million BTC to Coinbase Prime from the ETF doesn't automatically mean a sale. It could be custody, because Coinbase is doing the custody for their ETF. Liquidity reallocation, which is what I personally is, and I'll go over that in a second, or just routine management, among other things. So, you can see where I posted, I just said it could be that they're rolling into ETH to buy this dip, and then they in other alts, and then pumping ETH to later on, sell that off and roll back into Bitcoin or keep into ETH. I mean, they have an ETF, for ETH. So it could just be that they see more upside coming for ETH. Maybe they're the ones that are about to freaking unleash this this altcoin market or alt season. To be determined. Like I said, though, is we're starting to see some positive movement in ETH. Anyone that's been paying attention to these markets, you can see there's a decent amount of manipulation going on. The 4-year cycle, if you want to believe it or not, it's been disrupted. The prior cycles, all you really had was retail. Legally, no large institutions or government could get into these markets. Because of the lack of regulation. So, retail historically have driven these markets. This cycle is totally different, and the entire crypto market is only 3 trillion. It seems like a lot, but there are asset managers like BlackRock that have assets under management equal to, if not greater than the total market cap of the entire crypto market. No, exactly. Birdie Bob, exactly. Yeah, I'll put your comment up. I couldn't agree more. It seems like they're positioning themselves for something. And if you have that much weight and that much liquidity to throw around, why wouldn't you? I mean, they're here to make money. We need to get out of the mindset of paying so much attention to what retail is doing. We are not driving these markets anymore. The whole meme fever that was going on, recently, that was 100% retail, because people are just so impatient waiting for alt season, and people got wrecked in that. I mean, altcoins went from lasting for a couple of weeks to now you're lucky if they last a couple hours. A meme coin will launch, go up to like 10 million or $30 million market cap and get rugged. I mean, it's Personally, I don't touch meme coins. To each their own. If you got an extra $100 that you want to, buy a lottery ticket with, or gamble with, whatever, it's your money. But me personally, I will not touch a meme coin. Probably the only one that I've seen that seems, somewhat legit is that Coins Chick. She has a coin and does a bunch of marketing. Cute girl, young, way too young for me, but young girl, always doing spaces and putting up pictures and videos of herself and stuff like that, doing sexy things. Sex sells. She knows how to market the thing, and it's been around forever. They have liquidity pools and ways you can earn. She's, as far as meme coins go, still, I'm not buying it. But, as far as meme coins go, the most legit one that I've seen. Enough of that, though. This isn't a meme coin channel. So yeah, no, it's, a lot of things could be going on with BlackRock, moving that 150 million, worth of Bitcoin. So moving right along, you can see here, this is the Bitcoin dominance. Oh, let me take that down real quick. So this is the Bitcoin dominance, and you can see where I marked it is November of last year. So the end of last year. And I did the same mark here on the total 3, which is the entire crypto market minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Important to understand that. So you can see on this date, the Bitcoin dominance dropped off dramatically. And it didn't go down historically. When Bitcoin, hits around the 50% market dominance and below, is what kicks off the alt season, where Ethereum pumps, and then the blue chips pump, and then the rest of the alts pump, and then eventually, traditionally, it's gone into the bear market. Again, we are, the previous cycles, not to belabor the point, but the previous cycles were retail driven. We are not, I can't emphasize this enough, we are not in that type of market anymore. Retail, it does not drive the crypto market anymore. It is big money. The regulation and allowing them into this market, people, a lot of people were speaking out against it, because they knew this kind of thing would happen. And, then you have, people like, that are into XRP and Bitcoin. It used to be, Bitcoin, they were anti-establishment and all that stuff. And then as soon as they heard about an ETF, all of a sudden they're all jumping on the bandwagon, cheering on the ETF, and, big money coming in to pump their bags. So, everyone's principled until it comes to pumping their bags, but I won't get into that either. But as you can see, on that date, we got a little bit of a pump because Bitcoin was pumping before that, but it didn't really take off until that Bitcoin dominance dropped off. And during that time, it was only select alts that really took off. Everything saw some positive gains, but it was like XRP, XLM, all of those banking coins. And I personally think it's because of the institutions coming in. That's when all the talk was going on about, XRP was going to be adopted by all these banks. You started hearing rumors about, if Trump wins, and, a pro crypto admin, taking over and getting rid of Gary Gensler. The SEC was getting smacked down quite a bit by Judge Torres. The suit that the SEC had against XRP. So, a lot of that stuff was, kind of coming to a head. So it's important to understand how macro events affect markets, and, how liquidity flows. So anyway, I'll move right along. So the title of this, of this stream was talking about dry powder. And I watch all the my usual morning shows, on crypto and news and that sort of thing, and it never fails. Especially in these down markets, is you see people just down in the dumps talking about the tales of woe about their hodl bags dumping and their leverage trades getting liquidated, all these different things. And I feel like I spam the chat, and I need to just stop doing it. Let people kind of figure it out on their own. But I can't help it because, and I'm going to show you, I'm in the green when it comes to my DeFi portfolio, over my hodl bags, and I'm going to show you exact numbers on everything, because the whole time that we've been ranging sideways, ever since the markets, dumped from, Bitcoin dumped from like 106,000, down into the 90s, now into the 80s, alts, bleeding off like 50% or more. I've been earning for the past, 2.5, 3 months. I've been earning in DeFi. And, as you can see on this, I'll go back to my chart in December. I started out with, I'll highlight it here. I started out with about $15,000, $15,265 is what I started out with back in the middle of November. I started tracking 1 December. So it was actually a little bit less than that. I actually think it was like 12,000 is what I started with. But as of 1 December, 15,000. But if you move on to February, right now, I'm roughly at 15,000. And I haven't put any more money, my personal money, into my DeFi portfolio. The only new money that has gone into my DeFi portfolio is money that I've earned. So if I wouldn't have put any of that in, I would probably be around, because of the way alts have dumped off, I'd be around 50% down, just like my hodl bags. I would be around $7,000 in my DeFi portfolio. Whereas right now, I'm actually more than 14.5. I have about 17 grand, because I have some that doesn't show up, in my Coinbase wallet because it's on Sonic, and I haven't figured out how to add Sonic to my Coinbase wallet yet. Again, this is somewhat new to me. I've only been in crypto for 4 years, and I've only been in DeFi for 2. So I'm still learning how wallets, how some of these wallets, new wallets work, and and adding these new chains. So, I'm up, and I put 10% here, but it's 10% over what I started with. So I'm still 10% in the green over what I initially started with. I'm actually up 60% because of that 10% plus the 50% that I'm not down because of earning. So I've made 60% or 20% per month in DeFi. Return on investment. I've made 20% ROI in DeFi, and that's all dry powder. So I've made roughly $8,500. I've made about $8,500 in dry powder in the past couple of months. Let's put that in there. And let's actually bold it as well. So I've made $8,500 on an initial investment of 12 in the since the middle of November. That is all OPM. That is all other people's money. And I've used that to stack my bags. So now I have more than double. Well, hold on. I have 60% more crypto than I had before. So it's actually even going to be more, because once the markets rebound and double, that's going to be 120%. because all of that crypto I'm stacking as well. I'm not keeping it in USDC and stuff like that. I'm plussing up my Arrow bags. I'm plussing up my Morpho bags. I'll actually show you real quick. I bought a bunch of Plume when it launched. I opened up a Sonic Shadow liquidity pool. They're all other DeFi seeds that I've been planting to make me more yield. So that my yield is creating more yield that I can use to start another pool to make more yield. That yield on yield on yield that Crypto Labs research talks about. Great DeFi channel, by the way. Does really good, organized, clean content. Has a free program and a paid one. I'm not in the paid one. I've looked at some of their free classes and videos and things like that. Again, great resource. In fact, let's see if I got it handy. Actually, here, I'll just do this. I'll go to my profile real quick. So if you're not following me, follow me on X, veteran, the number 4 crypto. And kind of as you can see here, that I got these rules from Crypto Labs research. It's basically just make sure that you're investing in assets that you believe in. Don't just chase an APR and get into stuff because it has a high APR. Look at good solid projects. Because you're wanting to stack bags of good projects that are gonna not dump or rug on you. You'll be doing liquidity pools on meme coins, at least unless there's small amounts of your portfolio. TVL, you want to have 250K or more on the TVL. You want the 24-hour volume to be greater than the TVL. So if it's 250K, you want the volume to be 250K or more. Trusted DEX or decentralized exchange. High correlation, meaning if it's two volatile assets that they move together. You want it to be trending sideways, looking at the chart. You want it to be trending sideways or going up. And with Ethereum gas fees going down, not as much of an issue, but you want to make sure that you're not paying huge gas fees to get in and out of those positions. So that's also very important. So back to here, my HODL bags. At one point, when I started my DeFi portfolio, I had over $100,000 in my HODL bags, and now I'm at about 51,000. So I'm down about 50%, just over 50%. Again, I'm up 60% on my DeFi. It shows you the power of DeFi. I almost wish I just put everything into DeFi, but it's so important to diversify. And I'm a strong believer of that because if you're doing anything other than lending or staking, there is a chance because of the way that liquidity pools work and AMMs work that it will affect your token count. So that's what I tend to focus on. Granted, I do track the dollar amount, but I have a separate tracker that I track my token amounts and and how they increase over time using DeFi, because it's a more accurate gauge of how well your DeFi portfolio is performing. Because as the markets move up and down the dollar amount, like right now, I could look at it and say, I got about 15 grand in my DeFi portfolio, and I had 15 grand when I started. Why am I doing this? It's a bunch of work and it's not paying off. But if I look at my token count, again, I have like 60% more crypto, so that when the market pumps again, I'm going to be sitting in a much better position. I'm going to have like, 40, probably like 40 or $50,000 in my DeFi portfolio. So that's kind of how I tend to try to look at it. So next up, for those of you that are new to DeFi, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Personally, what I didn't do, but if I was to do over again, because I didn't know anything about DeFi, I was wanting to get into it forever. there wasn't a whole lot of resources, not a whole lot of people talk about it, or if they do, it's very, just, they touch on it and they move on. Everyone's always doing TA. They're always talking about trading. It's kind of the sexy thing to do. That quick money. Do a quick long, do a quick short. Scalp. All these different things to do meme coins. Everyone's looking for that. Get rich quick. There's nothing sexy about making good, steady money. Consistently over time. To me, that's sexy as shit. If I can put some liquidity in DeFi and, look at it when I'm having my morning coffee or my morning tea before I get my workout in, make a couple of adjustments, go about my day, maybe check on it at lunch or, in the evening when I, sit down and have a beer or whatever. To me, that's sexy as shit. I'm sleeping, I'm making money. I'm out working on my property, I'm making money. I'm traveling, I'm making money. I'm watching the crypto shows in the morning, making money. I can be on a vacation and sitting on a beach having a drink. I'm making motherfucking money. That is sexy as shit. I don't want to have to, put a bunch of time into trying to learn how to, read charts to a point to where I get good enough to where I win more than I lose. Because even, people like Jason Casper that are just fucking badasses at it. And there's, a bunch of other people, Frankie Candles and, a lot of the big names out there, they're really good at it. Kelly Kellum over at Discover Crypto, awesome dude and great at it. The problem is that, and all of them have a story where they got liquidated. They were doing a leverage trade and they lost a shit ton of money. What up, Deadwood? And they lost a shit ton of money, and they call it their tuition, for an education. And it's important to understand that, learning TA isn't something that you're going to do overnight. DeFi, you could do it right now. Once you figure out how to use a hot wallet, and things like that, you can do it right now, and you can go on and lend. You can have one Bitcoin, lend it out, earn a yield, and the only way that you're going to lose that Bitcoin is if that platform goes under, goes insolvent. Other than that, you are always going to have that Bitcoin. They're going to lend it out, but only to people that put up collateral. So if somebody wants to borrow a Bitcoin, they have to have it, more than a Bitcoin that they've deposited for them to be able to borrow against. So there's collateral. So if they get liquidated, then you're guaranteed to get your money back. And the whole time you're earning, 5, 10, 20, 30%, depending on, the yield at the time. And it's just mailbox money. It's just showing up 24/7, 365, showing up in your account that you can use whenever the market dips. You have free dry powder, hence the name of this stream. You have free dry powder to deploy. And if you're earning and you're taking that in a stable coin, it doesn't matter what the market has done. You have USDC or USDT or DAI or whatever stable coin that you choose ready to redeploy into whatever new project that launched. If you want to, if it builds up enough to where you want to start another liquidity pool. I started out with one liquidity pool, and I'll show you. I started out with this. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. I started out with this wrapped ETH USDC pool. It was my first pool, and I put some money into that, and from that I've started an AMM up here. It's at $2,800 now, but at one point it was $6,000. This one was what was it? I want to say this was this one was $9,000. But all of this, everything other than this wrapped ETH USDC, all came from this was the seed. This was the mother plant, and from that, the yield that I've made off that, I opened up this USDC Arrow, concentrated liquidity pool. This wrapped ETH Morpho, that same thing was from this wrapped ETH USDC. This Shadow Sonic pair, same thing. All those bags I was talking about that are sitting on the side right now in my wallet. All the plussing up of my bags, all of that came from this wrapped ETH, USDC. I cannot stress enough, that people need to at least be lending out. Even if you don't get into the concentrated liquidity pools. Blast LP was shit. Was there like a token called Blast, or you have to let me know what's up with that, Deadwood. So yeah, and of course, like I said, the ones I was just showing you, those are concentrated liquidity pools and AMMs that you can go. The concentrated liquidity pools, you can go out of range, and so you're not earning. And AMMs, they're constantly balancing in real time. If the coin is pumping, it's selling it off, it's DCAing you out to keep an equal amount of the two assets. So but that being said, lending isn't like that. Lending and staking, you're earning a yield off of simply hodling your bag. Why would you leave it sitting on an exchange or in a wallet if it can be earning money for you and minimal to no risk? It's just boggles my mind that more people aren't doing this. And so on DeFi Llama, great tool for DeFi. I won't get into the endless amount of data and analytics. I'm very logical and unemotional about my investing. So I'm all about fundamentals, data, KPIs, key performance indicators, using those to drive my decisions. Because if you're emotional, like when the market's dumping right now, and you just start dumping your crypto because you get frustrated, you're the liquidity that is, other people like me that are buying up at these lows. You're giving your money to us. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're giving your money to us and those of us that are sticking around. So here in DeFi Llama, I actually found this new decentralized exchange called Vicuna Lending, and it's on Sonic. Right now, most of the liquidity or TVL, seems to be on Sonic and Base. And so I actually went over here to Vicuna, and you can see, exactly what I was talking about is this bridged USDC. If you take USDC and bridge it over to Sonic, that's bridged USDC. You're making 17%. So if you have USDC and you can have it sitting here earning 17% APY. Right now, it's 7% of it. It looks like it gets paid out in USDC, and then 10% of it is called Merkle rewards. So Merkle rewards are calculated based on the amount of gems emitted as supply and borrowing rewards, as well as current price of gems that is tracked and displayed in this liquidity pool. So, and again, once you deposit, later on when you learn more about DeFi, you can borrow against that or take out leverage against that. Me personally, I would suggest, not leveraging too much, maybe taking, 20% or something like that, so you don't get liquidated. On things like, ETH, if you deposit ETH and you take out leverage against it, or, a volatile asset, you don't want to be taking out too much leverage, because if we get a dump like we just did, you get liquidated. You don't want that to happen. So moving right along, like I said, USDT, same thing, making 16.16%. Why wouldn't you be doing this? ETH, wrapped ETH, you can be making 9.32%. And you can take it out. As long as you don't have a loan on it, you can put it in here and earn. And if you want to take it out, you can take it out. There's nothing stopping you from taking it out. I jumped into Blast Network's liquidity pool to earn a bit, started using 0.25 ETH at 4K. After a few months, I pulled everything off the network because I earned $10 back. Yeah, yeah. And that's why I have a lot of those DeFi, rules, Deadwood, where it has to have a TVL, a total value locked of 250K or more that equal to or greater than daily volume, of that, because that's how you're earning the fees. Is that there has to be people swapping between those assets. Like I said, I've never heard of Blast. Not to say that it wasn't a good project, but I issued in Blast, which just sang like a drip after it opened. It happens, man. I mean, I did the same thing on VVV. When it first came out, they were, I took a little bit of money, about $1,000, and dumped it in there. Made a quick $1,000, and then after that, it just kept, it went down out of range and just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And finally, I took out what was left. It was like $600, and that's what I put into that Sonic shadow pair. And I made my initial back, so I'm not too worried about it. Still OPM, and and then who knows what the shadows, Sonic is going to do once the markets start pumping. In fact, let's check on the markets. No, doesn't look like they're pumping quite yet. I just feel like they're about to take off any fucking time now. I mean, my hodl bags are freaking at least up a little bit. All right. So yeah, this Vicuna might be worth looking at. I think when I looked earlier, when I first pulled this up earlier, I wanted to say there was only 5 million of TVL. So it's almost doubled just in the past hour. I mean, that's actually says something. I might want to see a little more than 9 million, probably like 15 million before I put any of my liquidity on it. But these are some real juicy APYs on stables, 17%, 16% on stables. Not bad, not bad. I might look at this when I start DCing out of the market, once we get the alt season and I start DCing out of my hodl bags. I plan on doing it into USDC and USDT. This might be the play that I do. We shall see. We shall see. So I'm going to move into, and feel free if you don't like it when I'm going to get a little bit political. I'll just say it up front. Not anything crazy, but and it's going to be crypto related. I just want to be upfront in case you're delicate, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Feel free to move on. To each their own. But I want to talk about something. It's called the fourth churning, and it has to do with markets and economies, macro, macroeconomics, that kind of thing, world events and how they play into the stock market, now the crypto market, debt, national debts, things like that. Yeah, no, ETH is back up above 2,500. We're getting a decent bounce. I'm hoping that it goes somewhere. So I'll share this. Actually, let's share this first. So these are the churnings. So the first churning is, they call it the high. It's the strengthening institutions, the weakening of individualism. So a lot of patriotism, a lot of society is very galvanized. Those sorts of things. We saw this. Like it says here, post World War II in the U.S. A lot of patriotism. An industry had come together. A lot of we kind of came into where America was producing things. America was building things. You had Kenmore, Ford, Chevy, All of a lot of those companies really beefed up during World War II because they were building stuff for the war. You had everyone, of course, was super, kind of like you saw at the beginning of after 9/11, how left right didn't matter. Everyone came together. We're Americans. We need to look out for each other. Kind of that's the first churning. Kind of what you get. And this was 1946 to 1964. 1964, as a lot of is kind of when the hippie movement really got going, which is the second turning, the awakening. It's a passionate era of spiritual upheaval. Again, the hippies and a lot of that, and this repeats throughout history. I mean, if you want to go back further, you can copy and paste. A civic disorder, comes under attack with new values, kind of tearing down old values and things like that. They want to reinvent themselves. The consciousness revolution. That's why they were doing acid and mushrooms and all that kind of stuff. Campus revolts in the mid '60s, tax revolts in the early 1980s. Next is the unraveling, the third turning. It's basically a downcast era of strengthening individualism. You see this on social media. Everyone is so self-involved. Kind of this narcissism, where people don't care about anybody but themselves for the most part. That's just you see it all over social media. With everyone just worried about them and how everything affects them and them, they, and if you don't magically know how to address me, then I'm a victim somehow. Weakening of institutions. We're seeing that in government. We're seeing that in a lot of different sectors. When the old civic order decays and new values, and regime implants, like I was talking about. We have a lot of the people, and I don't personally care whatever you want to identify as. I don't care. Where I draw the line is when I'm forced to play along. If you don't present yourself well enough, if you're a dude that doesn't present yourself well enough as a woman, and I call you sir, not my problem. It's try harder. If you have a beard and you're wearing makeup, I don't know. Are you which one do you want to be called? So, culture wars, era that began with in the mid '80s in America. A lot of the the rock bands I listened to in the '80s, Poison and stuff like that. They were some good looking dudes. they had the big hair and wore makeup and spandex and stuff like that. It's basically everything that the women were doing. So anyway, I'm just kind of I'm playing a little bit, and then you have the fourth turning, crisis. A very decisive era of secular upheaval when the values regime propels the replacement of the old civic order with a new one. Global financial crises usually happen during this time. Multiple signals point to final stages of this crisis period in this decade. They're saying that that's started in about 2007, and in 2033 is when they're projecting that that will end and basically go back to the first turning. It's everything is cyclical. You have the Bitcoin cycle. You have this. You can look at a lot of different things throughout history. If you learn history, you can almost tell the future. The more that you understand and learn history, you really can tell what's coming. I think that's where a lot of wisdom comes from. People that are older, is the older that they get, the more they've seen, and lived through, and they recognize when those are starting to pop, those things are starting to pop their head up again. Because like these four turnings, there's a lot of people alive today that were that was born in the 30s and 40s, so they've seen each of these happen, and they can look at stuff that's happening now and be like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened, and this happened after that. So yeah, no, Deadwood, it's very, very interesting. You say unreal times. it's very interesting. The more that I read up on history and stuff like that, it really is just writing on the wall, and you can kind of see it on social media. The people that don't understand that simple concept. Let's see what else we got here. So here we go. All right. So you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to go through some stuff that I bookmarked here. So this here is a quote from Ron Paul. I'm just absolutely convinced that the best formula for giving us peace and preserving the American way of life is freedom, limited government, and minding our own business overseas. Ron Paul and Rand Paul are my heroes. They've been saying all this stuff that Doge is doing right now, and Trump and Elon and the old Democrats that wanted smaller government, responsible government, as far as spending, less war, the military industrial complex being torn down. That's what Elon and Trump are saying that they're trying to do right now. It amazes me, on social media, the amount of U.S. citizens, of Americans. I see why a lot of Democrats and Republicans. What up, Zach Nasty? I see why a lot of the Democrats and the Republican politicians are kicking and screaming at this, and just trying to have these rallies and talking about how our rights are being taken away and our data, and trying to scare everybody, get everybody emotional, so that they can kind of control people. It's the reason is, and then you have all these I call them cucks, or bootlickers that heel to the government and come to their defense, and it's like, what are you doing? Elon Musk and Trump are, if you like them or not, if you agree with their politics or not, they're trying to go through government and identify where the fraud, waste, and abuse is and cut it out. I don't get it. You can see here, this kind of, is a nice little meme that demonstrates what I'm talking about. All these people that want free college, free healthcare, free internet, free transportation, maternity, paid maternity leave, debt relief, their college, loans paid off, free housing, free childcare, all these, free government handouts. That all comes from the taxpayers. There's roughly 50% of Americans that actually pay taxes. And the majority of that actually is the ultra rich. It's like, yeah, they get out of a lot of taxes, but they pay the majority of the taxes that are paid. And we have roughly 50% of Americans that get refunds more than they paid in. So it just, boggles my mind that people don't understand basic economics, where, if you have a government that is spending more than it's taking in, you can't offer free shit unless you print more money and take on more debt, take out more loans to pay for it. And it's basically just another tax. It's what they call a silent tax, because with inflation, your dollar buys less. So you're paying taxes, income taxes. Every time that you spend the money, you're paying more taxes. And behind the scenes, your dollar is being devalued. Your fiat dollar is being devalued, so you can buy less with it. So you're basically being taxed over and over and over because of this wasteful government. With all of this cutting that Doge is doing and Trump is doing, I hope, I'm still waiting to see, I'm skeptical, but should lead to being able to pay off the national debt. And hopefully, I don't care about a $5,000 check. I don't want it. Pay down the debt so that we as Americans and our kids have a bright future, and give us tax breaks. If they can cut down the amount of money that the government's spending, they can cut taxes, not just for the rich, but for all of us that pay taxes, and still, be able to provide essential services. This one here,
employee that got an email this Saturday, basically stating that I needed to highlight 5 accomplishments that I had last week. And to me,
about
that was not a
5 bullet
huge deal.
points about
I
what they
am
did
someone who likes to highlight my
last
accomplishments,
week,
and it was sent
like it
over
was,
in
like
about
this invasive
a
thing.
email
It's
that
like,
took me six
if you've
minutes.
ever had a job,
Something like that.
it's normal for your
I
boss,
used to work
especially if
for
you're
the private
working
sector
remotely.
for about 13 years.
What did you get
so
done this
I was
past
held
week?
accountable
It,
every
and
day. I
honestly, I
had
mean, they should
lists
already
of
know,
things that needed to be done every
but
day,
it's
and
not
it was just
uncommon
not a
to
big deal
get
to me
asked
to send
this.
that out. So I
And, you know, and this girl here, that's basically what she's saying. You know, her volume is really low, but she's saying that she worked in the private sector, and it's commonplace to have to answer your boss, hey, what'd you get done this last week? What do you plan on doing this week? You know, especially when you're working remotely. This one here is the debt clock. And, you know, there's a website for it. But Doge, so far, $129 billion that they have saved the American taxpayer so far in cutting. I don't get why this is such a controversial topic. You know, it's healthy to shrink the government, to find, you know, to constantly be looking for ways to be more efficient. Otherwise, the government just keeps growing. You know, it's one thing you can always count on with government. They're always going to grow themselves. Welding, we wrote where we finished off so I could pick up at the same point. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong. And they didn't ask. They were trying to make it sound like that they asked them that they had to send, you know, all the government employees had to send an email to Elon and Trump and tell them what they did this week. That's freaking idiotic. They couldn't go through all of them. What they did was they told them that they had to email it to their immediate supervisor because they want to start to find out, you know, what people aren't doing anything. You know, are the people even still alive? You know, I mean, if they're not reporting to anybody, is that person still alive? Are they, you know, living in the country? Are they providing any kind of service? You know, they're trying to identify where they can save the American taxpayer money, which is their responsibility. You know, running the government, it's their responsibility to, you know, ensure that, you know, our tax dollars are being. Get up. This one is a little bit, you know, kind of got a little bit personal. I don't want to say personal, but got I got a lot of enjoyment out of it the past couple days. So this is up in Coeur d'Alene, an area not too far from me, northern Idaho, and it's a town hall. And to give you a you know, kind of an overview of it is, you know, during this town hall, of course, you know, you have left leaning, right leaning. You know, it's a very right leaning community. You know, northern Idaho is, and Idaho in general. But this lady showed up, and it's obvious that her and her compatriots or, you know, comrades were there to cause a scene so that they could videotape it and use it for social media, which is exactly what they did. And so she kept on interrupting and interrupting and interrupting, you know, even though the people that were running the, you know, town hall said, you know, hey, please, you know, keep your comments, you know, down. Let the representatives that are here to, you know, tell their constituents what they're doing, what they're accomplishing, so they can, you know, say what they had to say. And there's almost always a public comments portion of these meetings. And they're like, you know, save your comments till then, you know, we'll, you know, allow everyone have a chance to speak. They kept interrupting. Like 5-6 times they asked this lady to, you know, please calm down, stop interrupting. And this is where it came to a head. And this gentleman that you can see in the hat, you can see on his hat, it says sheriff. This is Bob Norris. So, you know, on social media, the left propaganda machine came out and were like these, you know, these Nazi jackboot, you know, thugs up in Idaho, you know, came in and, you know, they wouldn't present a badge and they wouldn't, you know, identify themselves, and they drugged this poor woman out and violated her First Amendment rights. And not the case whatsoever. You know, they asked her to just be respectful, let other people, you know, let the people that are there, you know, speak, and that she'd have her chance, but she couldn't do it. And so this is the sheriff asking her to leave.
or be escorted out. And we're just taking care of the rabble rousers. And eventually what's going to happen is everything's going to settle down and we'll get back to hearing the legislators. Because really, you didn't come here to listen to me. I just happen to have a nice loud voice and a big microphone. And I can talk over all of you. And I can just talk for on. And look at this little girl is afraid to leave. She spoke up, and now she doesn't want to suffer the consequences.
If a police officer tells you, hey, you need to leave, you're going to leave. Well, these guys, could or could not be sheriff's deputies. Right now, they're not in uniform, so they're private security. They're hired private security. Many police officers, when off duty, will to make extra money, will be bouncers and do private security, things like that. It kind of seems like he may know them because he's started filming. So smart to do because of legal issues. But basically telling them that, hey, she needs to leave. She's being disruptive. She needs to leave. Just like if somebody was in a movie theater and was yelling fire, and being a jackass. You need to leave.
That is shameful. I think what we've got right now is a situation where these folks are trying to filibuster and shut this whole program down. Unfortunately, they're being successful. So all of you who came here to hear the legislators.
So this is something that was used on social media. They wouldn't identify themselves. They wouldn't show a badge. They wouldn't identify themselves. It's like, because they're private security. They don't need to. If you've ever been to a concert, if you've been to a club, if you've been anywhere, private security doesn't need to identify themselves. I mean, they usually have, like a staff shirt on or something like that. They don't need to show a badge. They're security. They're hired to, keep the peace. So
I applaud you for sitting there and quietly listening. I promise we will get back to you. In the meantime, we've just got to be a little aggressive with some of these.
And he keeps repeating, you've been asked to leave.
I should be removed. I should be allowed to cry and yell and scream. I should be allowed to interrupt.
I don't know if that guy up there talking should be instigating and he should be de-escalating, not escalating. See, she knows he's the sheriff. She just said, Sheriff Bob Norris, this man is assaulting me. So she knew he was the sheriff. So she disobeyed the sheriff multiple times when he asked her to wait for her comments, until the public comments section. And when he asked her to leave and tried to, get her up and remove her, she resisted.
Now, let's go.
Again, told her to leave.
Is this your deputy?
You, out now.
Is this your deputy? No, don't fucking touch us. Is he a deputy? These are
Doesn't
deputies.
matter.
Who the fuck are these men?
So how about that?
They're not arresting her, they're removing her.
Hey.
It's too bad that we have some 150-year-old Social Security recipients. We know that government has been mismanaging money.
If she's being hurt, it's easy. Stop resisting and walk out. If she's not being kept, she's not being arrested, they're just trying to remove her from the panel.
Who the fuck
Just
are you?
cooperate, it'll be 100 times better.
Yeah, that's what they say to rape victims, you fucking piece of shit. You refuse to identify yourselves. Who are you? Who are you?
To come here today. I applaud them for doing so. Thank you for coming. But the problem is this. They didn't come here to listen. They came here to interrupt.
I'd be willing to bet. And so to give you the rest of the story, so where they took her was out into the hall, where a female uniformed police officer was waiting. She was later arrested because she was biting the security, that was trying to remove her. So far from a victim. It's she very easily could have just ended the whole thing. There was plenty of her compatriots there that could have kept yelling and screaming and being disruptive. She pushed it to the point to where All of her friends were able to, get their propaganda videos. And then they went online and they, did some very careful editing at first to make it look like that she was a victim. And, until the, full videos came out. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Let's go back to, let's get back to this. So let's get back to, Doge and just kind of what's going on with Doge. And why I feel that, and I fully support, Elon and Trump, moving forward and, cleaning up the government. I'm still waiting to see, the Epstein files released. And I personally, I don't care who's on it. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care who it is. If they're on the flight logs that went to the island, not just on, the flight logs for that plane. That plane went a lot of different places. I want to know who went to that island and who did those evil things to those kids. And they need to be investigated and they need to be, tried. And if they're convicted, they need to be punished and thrown in jail. And it's nuts that there's pushback on this. It's nuts that, you got, Democrat politicians now coming out and, asking for this when they had 4 years. They had 4 years that Biden and Harris were running things and they were controlling things that they could have released this. Why is it that people, always want to chime up when it's the other side? There has to be some kind of common ground. Have people gotten that freaking insane that we can't agree that a list of pedophiles, should be released? We can't find common ground on that. We have to be constantly, throwing out there that it's, it has to be just Trump that's on that list, or it has to be, just Clinton, or just some left-leaning, tech giant, it's, or a Hollywood elite. I guarantee you, there is people on the left and people on the right that are on that list. I want that shit released and fucking now. It's been way too long that list has not been released. So this is Joe Rogan. Sorry, I got on a little bit of a soapbox there. This is Joe Rogan talking about what Doge has found so far.
Disclosures is the mainstream media cannot ever say that anything this administration is doing is positive. So even if they find unbelievable corruption,
right,
and they've found some really wild shit, like what was the $4.7 trillion in untraceable money?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I sent that to you, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that was Doge. Was digging through the, essentially the way that money is audited within the government, and they look at the data sets and how things are divided and how you have to explain what's going on. And the idea is that there's a lack of links to payments, outgoing payments, budget line items. So this payment goes out. What is it for? Right. It would be the same thing if you had I have a business, and in that business, you have to know what you're spending your money on. Right. I mean, that's a logical thing. I'm not a rocket scientist. But what they're saying is that they've well, there you go.
Yeah, here it is. So it's a Treasury Access Symbol. TAS is an identification code linking Treasury payment to a budget line item, standard financial process. In the federal government, the TAS field was optional for $4.7 trillion in payments and was often left blank, making traceability almost impossible. As of Saturday, this is now a required field, increasing insight into where money is actually going.
It would be like
US Treasury for the great work.
It would be like if I got my monthly reports, my monthly numbers from our finance director, and I looked at it, and there's the outgoing line, so I can see how much money's going out. But there's nothing that links it to where did it go? Did it go to pay a vendor? Did it go to pay rent? Did it go to pay staff?
Who bought a jet?
Yeah, who bought a jet? Yeah. By the way, when a company buys a jet, that's a key fraud indicator.
If a company buys a jet,
if a company
companies?
Buys, not all
the
companies.
UFC bought
not
a jet.
all companies. Let me just make a note of that. UFC jet. No, it's what I mean is obviously it's not like if it's Nike or an established large business.
But you're making so much money you can buy a jet.
Right. If you've got a business that in a space and it's a growing business or it's a new business or a startup, whatever. A purchase of a jet usually is a fraud indicator on the list of all the fraud indicators.
Means
But
you cashed in your
yeah.
meme coin.
yeah, I'm not cashing mine.
Have you thought
in.
about a Mike Baker
Yeah.
meme coin yet?
You know what? It's funny you should say that.
It
No,
seems
I
like
haven't.
it's
No.
legal gambling is what it
God.
is. And it
Yeah.
seems like even though it's horrible to do and very unethical to dump it, to pump and dump it, it seems like that's legal for some weird reason.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that's the turmoil around the Haktua coin, and that's the fear about the Trump coin.
Yeah,
and I think
right.
didn't the president of Argentina do a pump and dump as well,
Yeah.
allegedly?
Well,
What did he
allegedly,
do?
yeah.
What did he do, Jamie?
That is getting way messy this week. I wouldn't
Ooh.
even speculate. There's
Tell
all
me.
sorts of shit going on with that.
What do you think's happening?
Coffeezilla had a video come out. Of
course
I think
he did.
late last night.
He's the guy
Some
you
guys-
do not
yeah.
want investigating your shit coin.
Yeah, some guys admitting to stuff that I didn't sound.
You're not following
They're
Coffee
admitting
Zilla,
it?
you
Yeah,
might
I don't.
wanna-
That's why I was like, I didn't even watch the videos yet. I'm just seeing the stuff on Twitter.
We were
from
trying
that
to figure out as a way to do it where you don't pump and dump it, because anybody can kind of make money now, which is so
Right.
strange. And we're like, we make a JRE coin. What if we didn't dump it? What if we didn't pump and dump it? Like, what
Yeah.
would it be for? Would it? How can you just do that? How
Well,
can you
the,
just?
the regulations are have not caught up yet, right? So, and you see
No.
that any new emerging business industry technology, I think there are people who look and go, oh, there's an opportunity here because regulatory policy hasn't caught up,
Right.
and so
People get fucking crazy greedy.
they do. How much is enough?
Well, they hang out with other billionaires. That's the problem.
Yeah, and you're always comparing yourself to the guy who's got $3 billion. You got
Yeah.
$1 billion, and you're not. How the fuck can you have that much money and not be happy? That's the part I don't.
Well, that's what
understand.
it gets
Yeah.
weird. But I
Yeah.
get it. Like if
Yeah.
I hang out with Elon Musk, I feel poor.
So does everybody else on the planet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
he's still the richest
when
guy.
you
right?
meet
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really, really rich people, you
Yeah.
feel poor, even
Yeah.
if you're really wealthy.
Well, that's the funny. That's the funny thing with him. I always think, like right now, the past couple of weeks in particular, it seems like people are just losing their shit and dropping onto the fainting couch over the idea that he's accessing your private information. Right? What's he gonna do? He's accessing your private information. And you think, okay, well, first of all, I don't think the guy is looking to scam you out of $500. Right?
Right, but
He's like, yeah,
the argument's good. Like he shouldn't be able to scan your information, but
yeah.
also, is there any evidence that he's doing that? And here's the other question: who else has access to this? Well, it turns
Just about
out
every company.
Turns
out
out a lot of
Yeah.
people have access to this. Even students that are interns who work in the department have access to this.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is
They're making an
Yeah.
argument, and it's a good one,
Yeah.
right? If you have if he was evil,
Yeah.
if you do have this evil billionaire who wants to control the world and has access to everyone's credit card and just steals all your money or does whatever.
Didn't that used to be Jeff Bezos? I thought he was the guy who they were focused on. Who
Well,
was
they
the
were for a while, but he's just balling. Jeff is just like hanging out on his yacht, bagging his super
Yeah.
hot wife. Like
Yeah.
he's having a good time.
That sounds a lot better than like chasing government waste and fraud.
Yeah,
frankly. I
and
think
like I
Jeff's got
remember
it.
when Elon Musk was criticizing him for not working hard enough. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What is work for? That guy's got $200 billion. I think you can chill.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you get $200 billion, then it's time to get that fucking crazy yacht.
Yeah, once you start launching your own rocket ships.
Yeah, you got a
I think,
rocket shaped like a
Yeah.
dick.
Yeah.
You're literally trying to fuck space.
That's Austin Powers.
Yeah, have a
Yeah.
good time.
God.
I like the way Jeff Bezos is doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, but I appreciate the fact that Elon is so psychotic in his
Yeah.
drive. It's bizarre, and also in the face of overwhelming hate.
oh my God, it is. It's. I mean, very entertaining. Part of me just looks at it and goes, "All you got to." I mean, I think what they're having a problem with is two things: is the messaging and the means of doing this. Right? Everybody, you would think, would agree that, oh, you're going to go through government spending with a fine-tooth comb. You're going to find the waste and abuse and fraud. Fantastic, right?
Well, this
Everybody
is
gets
one
on
of the
board.
things that Clinton ran on,
right,
and implemented during his first term.
actually implemented. Yeah,
Yeah.
there were
Very effectively,
Yeah.
by the way, and
Yeah.
it was a huge boon to our economy.
yeah, but again,
All right, I think that's enough. But so yeah, I mean that just it kind of gives you an idea of a lot of the noise, because it seems like any time that like some news was going to come out about the the Epstein files, or any time that any progress is getting made. I'm still showing that we're live. No, I mean it shouldn't have ended Bitcoin away. let me know if you guys, still see me. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's weird to me that, people are against this, especially with everything that's, been exposed. Yeah, I know, right? Actually, yeah, no, maybe. Oh, it. All right. So freaking, it looks like YouTube freaking cut me off. So, all right, well, let's do this. Let me see if I can. I'll see if I can end this and start a part two to try to bypass them. Oh, you can see my chat. All right. Let's see. Let's see if, what can I do to maybe, okay. Can you see me now? Let me know if you can see me now. All right, cool. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm kind of new at this streaming thing. I haven't learned all the ways that the Gestapo and the YouTube. I mean, I'll say whatever I want and stuff like that, and I don't care if we get where the algorithm won't show us to people and stuff. All I really care about is those of you that show up and that sort of thing. I care more about freedom of speech than I do about reaching a larger audience. So yeah, I mean, I'll kind of maybe hold off on these videos so we don't end up getting freaking banned again. But I'll just kind of tell you what these are about. So this is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's basically just talking about. Here, let me share that screen. I shouldn't have any issues with that, hopefully. So she's basically talking about big government, the bloated bureaucracy, and just how everyone is pushing back on it when we're $36 trillion in debt. This shouldn't be a controversial topic. Let's see, we're almost done here. I'd really like to play this one. I'll save that for the end in case it cuts us off again. Yeah, this one here, this freaking delicate little flower, managed to find the time to, get scheduled to go on CNN to complain about sending, the 5 bullet point email to her supervisor, but didn't have the time to send a 5 bullet email justifying her job. It's insane to me. Oh, here we go. Something that Doge found says, this takes the cake. If this doesn't make it clear that the Democrat critics of Doge, then convincing them it's fruitless and a waste of time, then, I mean, if this doesn't convince you, then nothing will. So Rand Paul, speaking of which, buried in a foreign aid report last year, he discovered we give foreign aid to China. So the government is so dumb, it's literally borrowing money from China because China owns a bunch of our debt to give it back to China while we're paying interest on it. So, I mean, if make that make sense. I mean, it sounds like they're doing DeFi. China's doing DeFi. They're lending us money, earning yield, and then borrowing against it. And so yeah, China's they're taking DeFi to the next level. They're fucking earning on every aspect of our idiot government. So all right, you know what? Let's check in on the markets real quick, and then on the way out, I'll show you that video with Kennedy, just because what he has to say is very powerful, very powerful. So right now, what we're looking at, let's see. I'm kind of judging the market off of yeah. I mean, we're ticking our way back up. This is my portfolio. I'm up a couple of thousand since we started the stream. Let's go look and see what everything else is doing. Looks like Bitcoin still below 90K, but again, it's been ticking up. It got down to 86. It bounced at about 86, so it's up about 2 or 3K. So that's good. That's good. Ethereum. Let's see how Ethereum's doing. All right, it's plateaued a little bit, but again, just like before, 2300, we're holding above 25. I would love to see this get, back around 27, so I'm back in range. But I'll take, not going lower. But it looks like on the hour that we're still seeing some green. So definitely some nice. Let's check the dominance. See what Bitcoin dominance is doing. So this is on the day. Let's see what happens when we go to the hour. So it looks like Bitcoin dominance could have bottomed out. But you can see we had a nice steep drop off. I'm hoping that this plateaus and keeps dropping off. We really need to see this historically. We really need to see this hit around 50% before it really kicks off the alt season. So we still have quite a ways to go. I mean, if I shrink this down, 50% is way down here. So we definitely got some dominance to lose. If it's going to have to hit those historic levels, to really kick off alt season. But let's see. Yeah, no, China owns all kinds of shit. China, they own freaking a bunch of farmland. A lot of land that's around, military bases, things like that. I don't know what our government's doing. They're definitely not looking out, for our best interests. But all right, I think we'll bring this to a close, and we'll end it with this. So if I don't see you guys at the end of this, I appreciate you all coming. Please like and share the stream. If you see this. We don't always talk about political stuff, on DCA, on DeFi, crypto, and airdrops. This is kind of more of a roundtable talk or bullshit and bourbon, kind of topic. But I kind of wanted to touch on some of this stuff just because some of the macro, from what Doge is doing, very much plays into the crypto market. So with that. Hopefully I'll be able to say goodbye to you all after this, but if not, here we go.
The cost of all of them, if today over 100 members of Congress support a bill to fund Ozempic with Medicare at $1,500 a month, most of these members have taken money from the manufacturer of that product, a European company called Novo Nordisk. As everyone knows, once a drug is approved for Medicare, it goes to Medicaid. And there is a push to recommend Ozempic for Americans as young as 6. over a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. Since 74% of Americans are obese,
Holy
the
shit.
cost of all of them, if they take their Ozempic prescriptions, will be $3 trillion a year.
Holy shit.
This is a drug that has made Novo Nordisk the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, but the Danish government does not recommend it. It recommends a change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. Virtually Novo Nordisk's entire value is based upon its projections of what Ozempic is going to sell to Americans. For half the price of Ozempic, we could purchase regeneratively raised organic agriculture or organic food for every American, 3 meals a day, and gym membership for every obese American. Why are members of Congress doing the bidding of this Danish company instead of standing up for American farmers and children? Because Novo Nordisk is one of the largest funders of medical research, the media and politicians and the medical schools all go along with them. For 19 years, solving the childhood chronic disease crisis has been the central goal of my life. And for 19
So I'll end it there because I don't want to get freaking banned again. But that's insane. That is, I mean, insane to me that Ozempic, if you don't know, it's a weight loss drug that's, they're starting to find all kinds of crazy, health issues with it. And, what Robert Kennedy, make America healthy again, MAHA. What he's saying is for half the price of, what Medicare and Medicaid, I mean, because they're paying for this for Americans, through Medicare and Medicaid for obesity. If you just ate, ate properly, even mildly, proper, you wouldn't be obese. It's a lot of the obesity issues that we have as Americans is our diet. Because I've traveled all over the world, and I have never seen any other country with the obesity issues that the U.S. has. But what he's saying is, as you heard, for half of the $3 trillion that we would have to pay for Ozempic to treat from what he said, 75% of the obese of Americans are considered obese. For half of that amount, we could pay the farmers. The government could pay the farmers, not that they should, but they could pay the farmers to grow organic food and feed all those Americans 3 meals a day and buy them all a gym membership for $1.5 trillion per year. It's insane to me that, why is the government, providing a drug? I saw somebody post something, and I'll get off this soapbox earlier, where if you take your pet to the vet, if those of you that have pets and you take them to the vet, one of the first things they ask you is, what are you feeding them? When was the last time that you went to a doctor and they asked you about your diet? It's almost always like, hey, tell me what's bugging you, what's bothering you. And it never fails, because every time I've gone to the doctor, I tell them right off the bat, I do not take prescription medications. Don't bother. If that's what you're gonna recommend, don't bother writing it. I'm not going to take it. If I do take it, I'm not going to get it filled. So don't bother. I go through the whole thing. They check me out. If there is an issue or whatever, never fails. Even sometimes when I'm just there for, a checkup, it seems like they always want to write me some kind of prescription for something, claiming that something's wrong. I have never had a major health issue. I've never had a surgery. I mean, I still have my wisdom teeth, my gallbladder, my appendix. I've had one broken bone. I have no health issues, and I'm over 50 years old. So, the fact that every time you go to the doctor, they never ask you, what your diet's like. I mean, that is the basis of your health, is, the fuel that you're putting in your body. and the exercise, that you're getting. If you're sitting on your ass all the time and you're eating like shit, you're going to be obese and you're going to have a bunch of health issues. All you have to do to get healthy is start eating good food, and, stop eating sugars and, starches and, stuff like that, in excess amounts. And exercise minimally, a little bit. Like I'm not huge into fitness. I mean, I'm not like, an Adonis or anything, but when I listen to, crypto in the morning, I got a kettlebell and I just do a bunch of push-ups and flutter kicks and, do curls with my kettlebell and stuff like that while I'm listening to the shows. I'm not doing any crazy workouts, and I'm in better shape than most 20-year-olds these days. So, there's no excuse. I mean, our government should not be paying for, people to inject drugs that are going to cause, major side effects like Deadwood's talking about. Almost every freaking medication out there, one of the side effects is anal leakage. It's like, what person, I don't care how bad I'm feeling. If I look at a label and it says that I'm going to have anal leakage, I'm not fucking taking it. It just does not sound appealing. All right. I'll go through some of these comments and then we'll call it. So let's see. Doop-a-doop-doo. Everything man-made has consequences and repercussions. Absolutely, Deadwood. Yeah, anal leakage seems to be on quite a few medications. Yep. Bush fucked the organic laws. 14% is all that's required to classify food as organic. Yeah, that's a big reason why I buy local. Most of the places that I get my food, my milk, my eggs, my produce whenever possible, meat, all that stuff, I get it all locally and I know who grows it. So I know what's, if anything, what's sprayed on it, what they put in the soil. Most people out here, do like the three sisters, where you grow the beans with the corn and, and the squash, and, it's like a natural, keeps pests away, and, the, beans put nitrogen in the soil because the corn takes it out. The, beans are able to grow on the corn. It's like this symbiotic relationship. Everybody around here kind of grows that way. Dr. Wylack teaches about vitamins and minerals and how we fix animals and should fix humans. Yeah. I would much rather that, I won't go down that road. Yeah, Chili, absolutely. Appreciate all you guys showing up. I know I kind of pop these things up, but I appreciate you guys jumping on. U.S. government's all about drugs, prescription drugs. Absolutely. Because like Kennedy was saying, that they're all paid off by pharmaceutical companies. They're the ones that keep them in power. They pander to us during election time. And once they're in office, they couldn't care less what we think. It's why all of them are rich. Good health and exercise routines are not taught to the people from a young age. It used to be. Back when I was in school, obviously I'm old as shit, but back in the 80s when I was in school, we always, out for recess, they always had physical fitness tests. Arnold Schwarzenegger, for a while, was, kind of the spokesperson for, the physical fitness in schools and things like that. And then, of course, there's even older, like back in the 50s and stuff, like, everyone's ripped back then because they were eating healthy food and exercising. But, it had all the guys outside and they're all on the jungle gyms and, they're all, on the monkey bars and stuff like that, going through off-school courses like they're in the military or something. That's what we need to get back to. People need to get back to eating healthy and getting off their ass. All right, last comment, Deadwood. Each conservative time you come up or you come out from under the knife, its pain increases. I'm not sure what that means. But all right. Well, Bitcoin Way, appreciate you. Deadwood. I think I saw C90 in here. Chili Rainbow. I definitely appreciate Birdie Bob. I started doing the stream And I went on for about 10, 15 minutes, and Birdie Bob jumped on and let me know that I was on mute. So, yeah, Taco would enjoy that one. So, anyway, yeah, in closing, if you haven't already, I know all of you that are here live have, learn about DeFi. Use your bags, earn, get into lending. It's only, 5, 10, 20%. You're not going to get rich overnight, but use your bags to earn. It's how you're going to grow your portfolio. I'll show this really quick. I promise this is the last thing. Let's see. So I showed this earlier. Those of you that weren't here, I really wanted people to understand, what I'm screaming about in the morning shows. So this is my 2 portfolios. So my DeFi portfolio, when I first started it, I had 15,000 in it. Even with all of these dumps, I'm sitting at about 17,000 right now. So I've made 60%, an average of 20% per month, ROI, or $8,500 in the past 2.5, 3 months off of $15,000. I'm still in the green on my DeFi portfolio by a long shot. And when the market goes up, even more so. My HODL bags, on the other hand, I was at $101,000 at one point. I'm currently at about 52 because it's gone up since I started the stream. I'm down 50% on my HODL bags. If I would have been doing the same thing with my HODL bags, I don't like being, all my eggs in one basket like that. It's not something I would, recommend either. But it goes to show you the difference between these people that are just buying and hodling their bags, hoping for an alt season, and the people that are listening and that are learning about DeFi and they're earning, even during these dips. This past month, this market has been shit. If I, once I cash out at the end of this month with, what I have in sitting in there that I haven't cashed out yet, I'll have about $2,000 in OPM, other people's money, that I'm going to use to DeFi into new liquidity pools and whatnot. I'm currently at $1,689, but I have a couple $100, sitting that I haven't cashed out. And that's in a shit market. We've been doing almost nothing but go down, and I've earned $2,000. So please, if you haven't already, look into at least lending or staking your bags. If you do it or not, up to you, but at least look into it. I hate to see how beaten down people are because they've gotten into crypto. They're hodling their bags and they're just watching, the value of those bags go down. Because they didn't buy in the bear market. They bought when everything was pumping. And now, if I'm down 50% when I was buying during the bear market, what are they down? It's got to be demoralizing. And they're capitulating and they're getting out before, they're going to see, the gains, the pumps that they came here for. So please, please, please be patient. Don't sell, you do you, but I'm not selling. And I'm going to continue to do DeFi and continue to stack my bags until what I feel is the inevitable altcoin season and the pump. So with that, thank you all. And I appreciate you stopping by. Veteran Crypto out.